We're Deb, Jenny and Lauren from Group 33, and we've put this video together so we can compare the Atkins diet to the WHOLE30 diet.
Let's start by talking about the Atkins diet.
The Atkins diet was described in Dr. Atkin's new diet revolution, which outlined a low carbohydrate eating plan, alongside vitamin and mineral supplementation matched up with regular physical exercise. The Atkins diet focuses on limiting the body's carbohydrate intake whilst emphasizing proteins and fats to help your body burn stored fat instead of using sugar for fuel. This diet can be beneficial for weight loss, diabetes management, and improving overall heart health. Atkins offer 3 diet programs so that the dieter can select the best plan depending on their weight loss goals and current lifestyle. All 3 programs restrict the body's net carb intake from a restriction of 20 to 100 grams of net carbs depending on the program. This means no greater than 5 to 10% of your calorie intake can be from carbohydrates.
What exactly are net carbs?
Net carbs is a term used to describe the total carbohydrate content of the food you eat, minus the fibre content and the sugars and alcohols in those foods. The number of net carbs in your diet reflects the grams of carbs that are available to influence the body's blood sugar levels. Aside from net carbs, there are no set guidelines in the Atkins diet as to how many calories should come from lipids or proteins.
So what does this mean you can eat?
The Atkins diet is centered around the following groups of food: meats and fatty seafood, including beef, chicken, bacon, salmon, and trout. Low-carb vegetables such as spinach, broccoli, kale, avocado, and cauliflower. Eggs. Full-fat dairy, including yogurt, butter, cheese, and cream. Healthy fats such as extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. Water, coffee, and green tea. Not to mention a range of nuts and seeds, including almonds, macadamias, sunflower seeds, and walnuts.
That doesn't sound too restrictive, so what are you not allowed to eat?
Here's a list of what you're not allowed to eat on the Atkin diet. Say goodbye to high-carb vegetables, including potatoes, carrots, and turnips. Don't even think about soft drinks, juices, baked treats, lollies, sorbet, and other sweets. Not to mention high-carb fruits including apples, oranges, and bananas, and even beans, chickpeas, lentils, and other legumes. One last thing to note is, physical activity is not a required component of the Atkin diet. Whilst this is the case, it is advised adding exercise to the program offers many benefits in addition to the diet.
Interesting. So should we try the Atkins diet?
There have been a number of studies done on low-carb diets, and the general consensus is that weight loss only follows if your energy intake is less than your energy expenditure. What you put into your body, while it will have an effect on your nutrition, could be made up of any combination of carbs, fat, or protein. All that matters is the amount. Various studies found that the short-term weight loss during the Atkins diet was linked to an excretion of fluid rather than fat loss. The restriction of carbohydrate intake during the Atkins diet and other low-carb diets had led to a depletion of glycogen stores and associated bound water, meaning that it could be easily regained in the long term. The weight loss is merely the result of a temporary alteration in the water and electrolyte balance in the body.
Another criticism of the Atkin diet is that weight loss might just be the result of a reduced appetite. Faced with such limited dietary choices, people might choose to simply reduce their food intake altogether and lose weight this way, rather than because of the low carb content. Not only that, with the high amount of highly satiating protein recommended, people undergoing the diet will have their appetites further suppressed. This self-limiting intake of protein and fat, which decreases the overall calorie intake, is a large contributing factor to any weight loss. So in a way, yes, the Atkin diet does what it's supposed to do. In the short term, that is, but in a way that is much more difficult than simply reducing your food portions.
Furthermore, restricting the intake of carbohydrates to less than 20 grams per day, as suggested in phase 1 of the diet, can actually cause ketosis, Ketosis occurs when there is insufficient glucose for energy, so the body breaks down stored fat instead, causing ketone levels to increase. This then causes side effects such as nausea, mental fatigue, and headache.
That being said, low-carb diets have been associated with improvements in cardiovascular risk factors. In particular, a 2003 clinical trial among obese subjects found that a low-carb diet, in comparison to a low-fat diet, led to greater weight loss outcomes during 6 months, alongside larger decreases in triglyceride levels and an improvement in insulin sensitivity, even when adjusted for the amount of weight loss. Another 2004 clinical trial in overweight patients similarly observed a drop in triglyceride levels as well as a greater increase in good cholesterol levels compared with a low-fat diet. At the end of the day, the Atkins diet has its pros and cons. Short-term weight loss is usually achieved, but at what cost? For an individual's long-term health, the Atkins diet is simply not sustainable. The initial Atkins diet restricts the body from a large variety of foods which are essential for good health.
Thanks for that, Jenny. But Lauren, can you tell us a bit about Whole30?
Like it sounds, the Whole30 is a 30-day diet of clean eating, designed to reboot your metabolism and teach you about how food choices you make influence how your body looks and feels. For 30 days, the program eliminates certain foods demonstrated by science to promote unhealthy cravings, disrupt your metabolism, damage your digestive tract, and burden your immune systems. This includes a strict 30 days of no sugar, no alcohol, no grains, no legumes except for green beans and peas, no dairy except for clarified butter and ghee, no MSG, carrageenan or sulfites, no recreating baked treats with approved ingredients, no weighing, measuring or calorie counting.
So when thinking about what foods you can eat on Whole30, think whole foods with limited or no processing. Some examples are meat and seafood, eggs, fruit and veg, including fruit juice, natural fats, and any herbs, spices, and seasonings.
But why is it necessary to cut out all of these food groups?
Well, the main idea behind Whole30 is to improve your relationship with food, and then supposedly physical benefits such as weight loss, improved sleep, improved athletic performance, increased energy levels, mental clarity, and better mood will follow. Intrinsic to the Whole30 diet is the premise of no calorie counting. So instead of calorie suggestions or recommendations, there are meal recommendations. This includes protein, vegetable, and fruit size recommendations per meal, as well as a guide to the different foods you include on your plate. Whole30 recommends dieters should eat enough to feel full and try not to snack between meals for the optimal benefits.
Similar to the Atkin diet, there is no set physical exercise component to the Whole30. Co-founder and CEO of Whole30, Melissa Hartwood, claims working out is not a requirement to see life-changing results with Whole30. That said, depending on the dieter's previous physical activity levels, exercising during the Whole30 diet can similarly boost the diet's results on how the body looks and feels.
Sounds good? Well, let's see what the science has to say.
Whole30 makes some pretty big claims, and one of the main issues with the science behind this diet is there's no direct science behind this diet. No clinical trials, no randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trials, just anecdotal claims. It wasn't even designed by specialists with a deep knowledge and understanding of nutrition. Whole30's founders, Melissa and Dallas Hartwig, may both have the certified sports nutritionist credentials, but that's a very superficial qualification by any standard. There is some indirect evidence that backs up a couple of the individual claims within Whole30, but mostly all you'll find is a lot of anecdotal support. The problem with that, if you're out there trying to decide if Whole30 is right for you, is that anecdotes are not evidence-based, and that makes it really hard to make an informed decision.
So what are the implications of actually doing the Whole30?
Well, while it's not marketed as a weight loss diet, you may indeed lose some weight. while doing Whole30, especially if the restricted foods were a big component of your diet before starting. If you're no longer consuming things like ice cream and glazed donuts and chocolate mud cake with a pina colada chaser, then common sense dictates that by eliminating the junk food, you're giving your body a chance to start drawing down on stored energy reserves. So you might be able to say goodbye to the spare tyre and the love handles, and you may even sleep better. If you're not bouncing off the walls on a sugar high after a late night chocolate raid, so that's all a big tick for Whole30.
By eliminating sugar, Whole30 may also help reduce and stabilise blood glucose and insulin levels, and this is a good thing for pre-diabetics or type 2 diabetics. But despite its claims, there is zero proof that Whole30 hits any kind of permanent reset button for hormones generally. On the upside, Whole30 may also make for more competent and aware consumers of food. Reading every food label before adding it to the shopping trolley will increase anyone's awareness of the sheer number of additives in processed food, and there's definitely nothing wrong with any of us making healthier food choices and increasing our dietary intake of whole, unprocessed foods.
From here on in though, Whole30 skates out onto some pretty thin ice. It eliminates entire food groups for a start, including ones scientifically shown to be essential for good health. Legumes and grains keep our gut microbiome healthy, and we rely on our microbiome to keep us healthy. Our digestive and immune systems rely on it. Fortified cereals and dairy provide a lot of our vitamin D, but these foods are a no-go in Whole30. This really reduces access to vitamin D, so Whole30 may exacerbate a pre-existing vitamin D deficiency, or create one. Not everyone can successfully create all the vitamin D they need from the sun exposure, or even get all the sun exposure they need. And vitamin D is essential for bone health, immunity, and nerve and muscle function.
So Whole30 also tries to market itself as an elimination diet. And if we're being scientific about it, neither their 30-day elimination nor their suggested schedule for reintroducing foods are evidence-based. The initial 30-day elimination may not be long enough to resolve food-related symptoms, and the subsequent pace of food reintroduction is so quick that it would be impossible to accurately pin down any food-related symptoms back to a specific food. Anywhere from 6 days to 6 weeks is more reliable. Whole30 is far too restrictive to be enjoyable. And if you don't have an eating disorder when you start, well, Harvard Medical School have raised concerns that you may actually create one by the time you've finished. So you might be saying hello to all the weight you lost to begin with, and then some extra.
Whole30 is not a balanced diet, so it can't possibly provide all the nutrients we need for healthy living. So that's a flat no for sustainability. And in the price tag and time-consuming meal planning and prep, it's another no. To compound all of that, if you go off-piste even just once during the 30 days, a glass of wine on day 29 will do it. You're meant to start again from the very beginning. That's right back at day 1. So now this idea of it's just a 30-day reset has morphed into an unbalanced diet that could potentially drag on for months. Whole30 Diet is regarded in such a poor light by qualified dietitians and medical experts that explained it came in last place for best diet overall, healthy eating, and easy to follow categories in the US News and World Report.
Has given you a bit more clarity on what each of these diets entail and can help you make a more informed decision if you're considering one of these diets.